Listen, give Southeast Missouri State a lot of credit. I thought they made it difficult there for us. We're really handsy in the first half and made it just difficult for us to kind of run offense at times, and we contributed to that. But our guys did a great job there the last 30 minutes, particularly in the second half. I thought guys really moved it and shared it. And, we were able to make some threes and play inside out throughout the game, but particularly the last 30 minutes. Guys did a great job sharing it and moving it, and it was good to see guys make shots too. And I think our defensively, we were fairly consistent for most of the game.
Chris, I don't know if I've seen too many box scores where you shoot it that well, have that many assists on that many makes, but have 21 turnovers. I don't know, like,
Yeah.
I assume you look at the turnovers a little more?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I thought we didn't play with enough force or strength. Some of them it was really a variety. It was passing turnovers, it was catching turnovers, it was feeding the post turnovers, it was catching it with one hand. We had a couple times where we didn't run the right play and ran into bodies when we had, three freshmen out there at one time. So just stuff we need to work through and get better at, honestly. I love the 23 assists, but this is now 2 games where we've had a lot of turnovers, and we're playing, I think, the best defensive team I've seen on paper, or I've seen on film since I've been here on Saturday. So we're gonna need to be better for sure.
And Kyle and Caleb both were saying that the last game and the first half of this game, they felt like you were getting sped up a little bit offensively. I don't know if you saw that, and maybe if you view that at all as being over, I don't know what the word is, over anxious, trying to find some offense when things are maybe not going the way you want them to go.
Yeah, I think we were a little bit sped up, and their pressure at time bothered us. Their ball screen defense bothered us at times in the first half with some of their traps and their hedges. We changed a little bit how we were attacking it in the second half, and I think that opened up some things with slipping and short rolling. But some of it is our guys. We've got guys that have great feel. Guys like Caleb can get to spots and make the right pass and the right read in certain situations. Did a great job with that tonight. And of his 5 turnovers, I know we had 6 last game and 5 this game. A couple of those were, I think, just some calls that I kind of question were a little bit flops. But if that's how the game's going to be called, we got to keep adjusting to that.
When you're talking about passing turnovers and catching turnovers and one-handed catches, what is your frustration level, I guess, as that game went on, and you see some of those pile up when you're coming off a loss in a game where you struggled in some of those areas?
Yeah, I think we need practice time, honestly, and we need to continue to get film work. And I certainly was frustrated with the turnovers, but I think you also got to be careful to not communicate that to such a high level to your group. And if guys aren't doing what they need to do, they need to come sit by me, and we need to have a conversation, and then they need to adjust as they go back in the game. But I think that's the step for us. And again, we had some different guys play tonight, and that was good for us. But probably a byproduct was a little bit of some of the rough play. And
both Kyle and Caleb said that they felt like as the game went on, you guys started playing Ohio State basketball, unlike at Minnesota in some of the first half. Is some of that, in hindsight, do you attribute some of that to the layoff, just losing a little bit of an edge?
I don't know if it's that may be. I don't know if I'd call it edge as much, Adam. Maybe it is, but I also think that our conditioning and fitness is something I'm monitoring, because we have been tired in a couple spells in these games that I've noticed, more tired than I remember, and I think probably it was good for us to play another game right now. Now we have to give them a day off tomorrow, but we need to get good work in Thursday, Friday.
You said you like the defensive effort. What did you like on that end, and how important is that when you're struggling offensively and turning it over a lot, giving them a lot of live balls?
I thought we had pretty consistent effort for the most part. We had a couple situations where we lost track of guys who got beat to the outside. We had a couple of times where they ripped baseline in the post on us, but that gives us an opportunity to talk to our guys. I subbed a couple guys out and had that conversation, but I think overall our effort on that end was fairly consistent.
By the end of the game, what were your general thoughts on the offense? Because you say in the first 10 minutes it wasn't pretty, and I think 13 of the turnovers were in the first half. But right now it doesn't seem like you're I don't know, overly angry with what transpired on offense.
No, I'm frustrated with the turnovers, but I don't know. Do you want me to throw the table over, toss the table over here, and start swearing at you? I don't know what I don't know what response you want from me. I'm disappointed and frustrated, and we've got to figure out how to correct it. But I also recognize that we had some, we did have some youth out there. But if you're saying, hey, as coaches, it's something that concerns you, it does. It does.
How do you think that you've adjusted without Dwayne?
Well, he's another primary ball handler for us that has not turned it over a lot. Now, he doesn't have a lot of assists, but he also hasn't turned it over a lot. And there's something to be said for that. I look at Ryan Klein last year for Purdue, never turned it over. Didn't have many assists, but the guy never turned it over. There's real value in that, and in terms of knowing, and I think Dwayne's did a pretty good job of that. So I just think, we've got to continue to adjust to playing without him if, in fact, we're going to play without him for a while.
Coach, do you have any update on his injury, or do you guys expect him to play Saturday?
I don't know right now. It's still day to day. He obviously could not have played today. Wasn't close to being ready to play. And he's been out a significant amount. He's not done anything really significant in terms of practice since the Penn State game.
So when he said he had like a back spasm, was that connected at all to the current injury, or are those two separate things?
Who said he had a back spasm?
I thought Dwayne said he wasn't practicing this past Wednesday because he had a back spasm or something.
I think that was all, connected, rib back. I think it was all connected,
Speaking of injuries, Chris, Caleb said he's sort of frightened himself when he tweaked his knee tonight. It makes me wonder what he might have told you when you went to check on him and how much of a heart attack that might have given you.
Well, it was, anytime a guy goes down and grabs a knee, it's scary. You're concerned first and foremost for him, and that's your, I was highest level of concern when a guy like that goes down and immediately grabs his knee. I think coaches, probably families, probably fans, your mind goes to places you don't want it to go. So my biggest thing for him was just, he said, I'm fine. I think I just hyperextended it or something, and we wanted him to get evaluated before he obviously even walked on it. So Doc and the staff did a great job.
So did you have to order him back to the locker room then, or?
No, but I think he felt like he could have been ready to, you had to sit out one play anyway.
Right.
But I think he felt like he could have been ready to go, and, Doc wasn't having that, neither was I. He needed to be evaluated.
We've talked a lot with you about all the different ways Caleb has improved and how well he's playing. It seems like he's also handling those moments where he's just getting position and guys fall to the floor and he gets a bad whistle.
Yeah.
It seems like he's handling those better too. And I know he handled it pretty well last year, I think, for the most part. Just how much has he grown in that area?
I think that's a continued, that's frustrating now.
Yeah.
When you're bigger than guys and they fall or they run in front of you and the official calls it, that is really frustrating for him, for all of us. He's just got to keep handling it with poise and patience. And then he has to adjust if we run into certain officials that are going to make that call. He has to adjust. And he's a smart kid. He has to adjust in those situations. I don't like it. I don't like when teams do that. And I'm not saying they were doing it intentionally today at all. I'm just saying it happens in our league. It will happen in our league. Guys are going to slide in front of him when he's running down the floor and try to pick up a foul. And he's got to adjust and be really smart in situations like that.
You guys had a stretch at the end of the first half. It started with Luther found Zoe for a bounce pass that he dunked. I think you had assists on like 4 straight possessions right there. And that kind of seemed to calm things, and you were getting the ball where you needed it to. When a guy makes a play like that, how contagious can that get when you guys are assisting on basket after basket after basket?
It's big. I do think it's contagious, and probably the flip side of this, turnovers can be a little bit contagious too, because guys get tentative. And but I definitely think I thought that stretch, and then I thought the stretch in the second half where we had multiple assisted plays, a couple by C.J. Walker, was big for us.
Do you think at all, were guys antsy a little bit to get out there? I mean, after taking their first loss, I'm sure there was probably some I don't know, not concern, but just wonder how guys would respond to that. Do you think that
I
attributed?
think you'll always wonder with your group, what's the confidence level gonna be after a loss? And in a loss, honestly, where it was, it was out of hand really for a large part of the game, I think you're always, I think you're always as a coach kinda trying to figure the psyche out of your group. And, I thought maybe at times we were pressing a little bit, but it's good. We've got to get better in the area of ball handling and turnovers, and that's a good thing that comes out of this game.
Caleb actually mentioned that he felt like you guys just needed to kind of come out and have fun, or at least they needed
Yeah.
to come out and have fun, especially after, the way that the first half went. Do you feel like, given the quick turnaround and what happened Sunday night, maybe your guys were a little too tight to come out here in the first half, or?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that'd be the cause for the turnovers or not. There might have been some of that. I did tell them at halftime, hey, we gotta relax a little bit more offensively. We gotta play with more force. And I said, it sounds like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. We gotta play with more force and toughness with the ball, and at the same time, we have to relax a little bit. So there might have been some of that. I didn't ask them if they were uptight, but I think, when things don't go your way and you have some kind of plays that you're scratching your head about after a loss, sometimes that can. I felt a little bit like in the first 10 minutes of this game, like I did against Cincinnati, where just things weren't obviously no offense to these guys, but a better opponent. But I felt that way a little bit, where just things weren't necessarily going our way, and we had to make some breaks happen.
How do you, getting back to the offensive fouls on Caleb, how do you coach him through that? When you look at the tape and you think, all right, that was a bad call, because you want him to stay aggressive, at the same time you talk about having to adjust the officials. Do you tell him to go out there? I mean, do you look at the official and say, hey, this guy calls it? I'm just wondering how
Yeah,
you coach
we
him
do.
through it.
Yeah, we do on occasion. We will say, hey, this official is known to call more offensive fouls based on the information that we have from the past couple years. I know that with officials that are a little more quick on the trigger with technicals, so same thing with offensive fouls. So we will go into a game and let him know that. I have I sent 2 plays into the league office from the other night that I thought were questionable. A charge that was called on him on a drive, and a block that was called on Andre. Sometimes you get feedback that is helpful in those situations, so there's communication that happens on a regular basis. But listen, at the end of the day, what we've learned from last year, I think as much as anything, is we have to adjust. And I think he's prepared to do that.
And just real quick, when they reviewed it, I think it was the second offensive foul, the second half, were they looking to see if it was a flop, or were they looking for an elbow? I was just wondering what they were reviewing.
Good question.
I didn't know if you.
I did not get
Because
that.
okay.
I really don't know. They mentioned to me that, they thought which I appreciated, they thought they missed that one. But I don't know if that ended up remaining a foul on Caleb or not, So if it was a tighter game in a different situation, I probably would have, addressed it differently. But, yeah, I think they just were like, hey, listen, they were looking at something, they realized they missed it, and they moved on.
Hey, Coach, this is no kind of this one. Question, what's the joy of playing 2 brothers at the same time?
Well, you're talking about the Wessons, obviously. Great kids, tough kids, tough-minded guys, guys that you can coach, want to learn, want to get better. And I've had nothing but joy coaching Caleb and Andre.
And then one more question. If one of them makes a mistake, do you say, hey, go get your brother? In a sense. Because it looks like Andrea came out and definitely pumped up,
Yeah.
definitely fired up a little bit.
Yeah, they have a, a lot of us have brothers in here. So they have a real rapport. And Caleb's bigger, but he's younger, and I think he does look to Andre in certain ways. And they can speak to each other in ways that even their teammates probably can't, just brothers, the way brothers communicate. Yeah, they've been absolute joy to coach.
I'll throw in an Andre question. Ask Caleb. Hit those 3 3-pointers in a row there, and just seems like that injury at the beginning of the season. He hasn't played up to the level maybe the Minnesota game was not one of his better games. Just do you hope that something like what happened here at the end of this game gets him going and he plays like a senior leader for you going forward, or what?
I think the injury probably stymied him a little bit in some ways, but I thought he was really good against Penn State for the most part. Not only offensively but defensively. I thought he was really good against Stevens. Really good. I think the thing with Andre that sometimes people forget, and sometimes even as an older guy, he can get caught up with it. His gift is when he's connecting people defensively, and he struggled defensively the other night some, but we all did. But his gift is the ability to kind of impact the game in a variety of ways. You look at his assist turnover numbers right now, they're pretty good on the season. His shooting percentage continues to take a jump forward. I think some of this he's got to be patient with coming back from the injury and getting in a rhythm. He's just got to be patient with that. And if he is, you can't press and be good offensively individually. If you're coming out pressing offensively, you're only going to hurt yourself. You just got to let it happen, and it was good to see him knock down some shots.
The turnovers aside, the start to the game, the clock doesn't start, and you have to sort of restart the game. Caleb goes down. Like the first 3-4 minutes seemed like it was about as brutal as it could be as a start. As a coach, what is going through your head there, and how do you try to not let that affect your team when it seems like everything is conspiring against everybody right there?
Yeah, brutal is probably a good descriptor of that start. Again, I think some of this is you got to keep your emotions in check as a coach. I think while you can be really frustrated and angry, and there's certain things that we addressed on the bench and we challenged guys with when we took them out in a pretty direct way. But your team can't play frustrated effectively, and coach can't coach frustrated effectively. So that's on all of us to handle that thoughts that come up.
Okay.
All right, thanks, guys.